Okay, so when I was in high school, I got asked out to a dance with this guy that I really did not want to go with. Um, but instead of making the night miserable for both of us, I decided to have a perceive the events that were happening on the state in a way that wasn't quite as horrible as if I was perceiving everything in a horrible way. So and because I did this, this wasn't the best date of my life, but it also wasn't the worst one. And so, because of this experience, I really think that if we understand the process of how we perceive things, we'll be able to change them. And that way, our experience that we have in life, if we can be able to change the way that we perceive things because we understand it, we'll be able to have better experiences. So, in this speech, I'm going to be talking about how we perceive things and the process of that, which would be through selection, organization, and interpretation. So, the first one would be selection, and that's just basically the events and the types of things that our brain picks up on in a situation. So, that could be a person's attitude, it could be their actions, it could be a whole group's action. It's just what your brain picks up on. And there's different stimuli that it could be like repetitive stimuli or um, a high contrast stimulus. But a thing that really affects what your brain selects to pick up on is your motive. So if you have a negative motive, then you're going to pick up on a more negative selection of events. Versus if you had a positive um, motive, then you're going to pick up on a more positive selection. And so, just like with my date, instead of noticing that, I don't know, like his hair was gross or he didn't put deodorant on, I would pick up more because I was trying to perceive things in a more positive light. I would pick up more on the way he made jokes or the way he opened the door for me. And so that way, the bad things, I wasn't focusing on the bad things. I was trying to pick up on all the good things. And so the next thing is once your brain picks up on all of these selections, it's got to have a way to organize it. And so your brain just organizes things in a way that makes sense. So if you look at this picture right here, you can either focus on the black part first, if a person did that, they would see a face, or focus on the white part, and if they did that, they'd see two faces. Um, Either way, that's just a way that your brain is organizing two events coming together. And we do this in everyday life through stereotyping. There's stereotypes on women, there's stereotypes on different religions, there's stereotypes on different political views. In my case with this date, I stereotype this guy as a really awkward, nerdy guy. So a way to change your organization is to realize that stereotypes aren't set in stone. So you might have already categorized somebody into a stereotype, but as long as you're willing to break free from that stereotype, then your perception is changed from them a lot quicker. And the last thing is your interpretation. There's a lot of different factors that go into interpretation. So, for example, there's like the degree of involvement, which is just your relationship with that person. And that makes sense, right? Because if you can talk differently with a coworker than you can with your best friend. There's the relational satisfaction. So you can kind of gauge how somebody else is feeling in a situation by their emotions, if they match yours, if their excitement matches yours. But I think the most important is your expectations and your attitudes. And we've already talked about your attitudes kind of with the motives in selection. But if you have a good attitude, you're going to notice good things. If you have a bad attitude, you're going to notice bad things. And if you have an expectation that's really high and it gets disappointed, that's going to change your perception of the entire night into something that's going to be horrible, even though it might not have been bad. And so my expectation for this date was really low. So everything good that happened was a really good thing because I wasn't expecting anything good to happen, which is kind of a bad thing. But anyway, if you notice and you understand how how you perceive things, then you'll be able to change your perception and have a better outcome and experiences in life.